I'm Una. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be joining Bucket List-athon, which is hosted by Danni. So if y'all don't know her, you should go check her out. This is a readathon running from November 15th to December 15th, and it's basically all about hitting your end of year goals in a fun, engaging, and supportive way. So it's not a competitive readathon. There is like a game board, and you can, I believe, either roll up a TBR or roll as you go throughout the month. It allows a little bit of wiggle room for holidays at the end of December and for maybe recovery from other projects or readathons in October. And I am super excited. So I'm going to try and go back and forth between these two cameras to show you the game board and my rolls. I'm going to be rolling a TBR because I love TBRs, I guess. And I kind of just want to know right now. And I think that makes the most sense. So yeah, let's get into it. Here is my board. You play with a d6. You have to pick a corner to start in, and this corner, oh, by the way, I'm playing hard mode. This corner determines kind of the rest of your picks. So for hard mode, the corner you start in minus physical TBR, then you 50% of your picks for the TBR have to be from your physical TBR. I'm going to be doing hard mode, which means 10 rolls. I have to pass all 4 corners. And if I hit the same color 3 times, I have to add an additional roll to my 10 rolls. So let's get into it. I almost forgot my must read and community cards. Roll number 1. 3. All right. I picked to go to old read. Okay, so for roll number 1, I landed on an old read. Vengeance Road is a book that has been on my physical TBR for forever. I don't know if I got it, where this bookmark is from, but it was published in 2015, so I'm kind of assuming I probably got it around then. It was maybe a gift, maybe not. It sounded interesting enough that I wanted to at least try reading it before getting rid of it or, you know, passing it along. And this is on the challenge 12 prompts for 12 months for the prompt, which it only loosely fits, book you bought based on the cover art, because basically the only thing I've known about this book for many of the years that I've had it is the cover, and I do think the cover is very pretty. So maybe it's a book I've kept just for the cover art more so than bought, because I don't really remember when I got it. But yeah, this is my first pick. Next roll. 6. So I chose to end with end of year goal because that is the name of the game here. For my second roll, I landed on end of year goal. One of the books I would like to read by the end of the year is The Stardust Thief. This is on a Storygraph challenge that I'm doing that is run by a bookstore. Like, I think it's called the Novel Neighbors 2024 Reading Challenge, and this is for the prompt a non-European story, non-European fairy or folktale retelling. This is 1001 Nights retelling, and I've also just heard great things about it as a fantasy. The poor little cat is screaming to be let in outside, but he's just gonna chew on cardboard. So I'm excited to read this. I actually just got this from the library a couple days ago, and so this is going on the list. Roll number 3 is a 4. And I have landed on a community prompt, so I'm gonna just pull the top one here, and it is invite a friend for dinner. For my community card, invite a friend for dinner, I'll just have to make sure I do this sometime in the month. That would be fun. I have a couple friends around that I haven't had over for dinner yet, so maybe we'll see if we can make that happen. All right, so now I have officially crossed these 2 corners, but I still have to get to these 2, so we'll see how that will go with our 4th roll. Another 4. Okay, I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, end up on pick a corner. That means that I will move to that corner, and then I have to pick a book that fits that. I'm gonna go to new releases because I haven't been in this corner. For the fourth roll, I picked a corner for new releases. I do have a couple new releases on my radar, but this is one that I just picked up from the library actually today, and it's also quite short. This is When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. I believe this is inspired by Slavic mythology, and I've heard kind of mixed things, but I've heard some whisperings that it might be on some of the end of year lists, and I was already curious. It was already on my Goodreads TBR, so I thought I should go ahead and try and read it by the end of the year so I can maybe vote on it in the Goodreads Choice Awards. This means that my current TBR is 2/3 library and 1/3 owned, so we gotta try to get that ratio back. Roll number 5. For roll number 5, I got a random number generator, so I picked 4 books from my physical TBR, and I'm gonna generate a number between 1 and 4. These are the 4 books. I'm gonna go from bottom to top, so this one's 1, 2, 3, 4. Here is just the Google random number generator, and 3. All right, that is the Checklist Manifesto by Atul Gawande. This is a recommendation and actually a gift from my grandfather, basically all about how the knowledge that we have has kind of surpassed what we can just hold in our brains. So we need tools to help us advance further, including the checklist. So this is about how to use the checklist in science. I think the author is a doctor, and I'm kind of talking about the role of a checklist in these highly complicated and advanced activities such as surgery and other medical procedures. I think there's things like flying planes and that kind of thing. So this is on the list. And roll number 6 is a 3. For roll number 6, I got a paperback edition. So this one's really loose. Apparently it could be any book that has a paperback edition, but I chose Goodbye My Havana, The Life and Times of a Gringa in Revolutionary Cuba. This is a book that I read an excerpt from in a class I took on Cuba, Cuban culture, and Cuban diaspora. And so I bought it and I want to read it. This is part of the 24 and 2024 challenge hosted by Ismaine Mahane on Storycraft, and the prompt is a book you read in school. So even though I didn't read the full book, I did read part of it, and so I want to read it. Roll number 7. Roll number 7, I landed on a favorite author, and this, Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. Naomi Novik is definitely a favorite author of mine. I read 3 of her books so far this year. I'm in the middle of another one, and this one I'm really, really excited about. This is for a challenge I created for myself this year, basically trying to read one book from every year. I have been tracking what I want to read on Goodreads. This book I first said I wanted to read in 2022. So I'm reading this for the year 2022 in that challenge, and I'm very excited about it. Roll number 8. And this is watch for videos, specifically videos on BookTube, and leave some supportive comments. Roll number 9. Next, I got Start a Series, so I picked An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. This is the start of a series. I also have owned this since it came out, so I really do need to read it. I have a signed copy, and I'm very excited to read it. I really like John Green. I really like Hank Green's other content, his internet presence, and I watched a lot of Crash Course growing up, So this is one I would like to read by the end of the year. Now that I'm double checking, I don't know that this is in any challenges, so maybe it's not quite as high a priority as some others, but I still really would like to read it by the end of this year. It's definitely one of those books that I'm like, I should have read this by now, and I own it, and so I'll keep it on the TBR. Roll number 10. Next, I drew a must-read card, and I got The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. This is a science fiction book, and I do want to read it, but I tried to save the must-read cards for some of the intimidating reads that I do want to read by the end of this year, and this is really good because I've been putting this one off basically all year. It does sound really interesting. There's some multiverse stuff going on. This girl can travel between dimensions, and it also has a lot of diverse representation in it from what I've heard. So yeah, I will make sure to read that by the end of the year too, or during this challenge rather. And I did land on 3 of the dark green, so I'm going to add another roll. I'm actually going to go backwards and start another series. And finally, for my last roll, which I had to add 1, I landed on Start a Series again, and I picked Leviathan. This is again a book that I have owned for far too long. I don't remember how I got it, and this is the start of the Leviathan series. It is by Scott Westerfield, who wrote Uglies, which is big in the press right now. I really enjoyed Uglies. That's probably why I ended up with this book. I did like think about getting rid of it, but I got really drawn in by like the map and the steampunk like vibes of it all. So yeah, I feel like these kinds of books, they shouldn't be too hard for me to read because they are generally, the books I've had the longest are generally books that are for like a middle grade or young adult audience. I believe this is young adult, but if I don't make myself read them with something like this challenge, I'm just never gonna get to them, as evidenced by the fact that I still haven't read it. So I will be adding this as my 11th book on this TBR. So I believe that is it. This is my stack of books. Plus the only book I don't have physically is The Space Between Worlds, which I will get either from my library if they have it, or maybe the audiobook or online. So there's 9 books plus 2 activity prompts, and 5 of them are from my owned TBR, which means that I have completed the 50% have to be for my own TBR or physical TBR challenge, and the rest are library books, which is great. I'm so excited to be participating in Bucket List-athon. There are way more books than just this that I want to read this year. I think I have something like 35 books that I really want to read by the end of the year. And yeah, follow along if you want to see me read some of these books. I'm not really sure what I will be vlogging or doing other things. I am kind of considering like if I get through all these books in the middle of Bucket List-athon, I might roll a couple more. I don't know. We will see. We will see. Join the Discord and the challenge if you want to join this readathon. It's very flexible. You don't even have to, like, a lot of things, if you want to, you can primarily make it not about reading books and doing other things instead. But yeah, what a cool idea. What a fun board. What an aesthetically pleasing board that Danni has made. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.